So, for those who don't know already, I made a small announcement yesterday that I would be reviewing movies that are not talked about as much. Not necessarily that nobody knows them, it's just that like in my daily life, I never hear people talk about them or reference them, and I never accidentally stumble upon any reviews of them online. So there's a potential that I'd never have seen these if I hadn't watched them myself. So, we're starting with one, which, of all of the ones that I'm going to be reviewing, which I plan on just doing it once a day for this week. It's not going to be a regular thing, it's just for this specific week, because there happens to be 5 days in the week and 5 of these movies. So we're starting with one that's probably the most popular of them, the most well-known name, Quest for Camelot. Which, let's be honest, Quest for Camelot was Mulan before Mulan was cool. And, seriously, I looked up the release date. It came out about a month before Mulan. This was a Warner Brothers animation, which we all know Disney runs the world. Let's not even pretend. There's a Disney World on every single continent. Literally every fucking continent. Except Africa. But we won't get into that. Anyways, so this is a story about a young girl. Her father is the knight Sir Lionel, who serves King Arthur in Camelot. He dies protecting the king, and his daughter Kaylee, she grows up and she wants to be a knight just like her father was. And she meet one day a griffin steals the sword Excalibur from King Arthur, but he drops it in the Forbidden Forest, which is this weird enchanted forest where everything is alive and trying to kill you. And creatures like ogres and dragons and stuff. And then so she goes into the forest to look for Excalibur with help from a blind hermit named Garrett. And so, there's a train that happens to go running through right when I start the video. That always happens. But I don't think you can hear it that well, so I'm going to continue. So anyways, it's a great story about, there's this girl, she wants to be a knight. You got this guy, but he's blind, so no one really takes him seriously, so he left to just live alone in this dangerous forest where he knows people won't bug him. And along the way, they meet this two-headed dragon who's more for comic relief than anything else. And there's a lot of great characters in this movie. I mean, it's got a spectacular cast, which includes people like Pierce Bronson, Jane Seymour, Don Rickles, and Eric Idle, who play the two-headed dragon. It's also got Gary Oldman as the villain, which, if you have a movie with either Eric Idle or Gary Oldman, it's usually good. When you have both of them, you know it's worth looking at. And so, overall, what do I think of this movie? Because I literally just watched it like a second ago. And it doesn't have the same power and magic as it did as a child. I think I was a lot more into it, but it's still a pretty good movie. It didn't have me like busting a gut, but there was a lot of comedy, a lot of good humor spread throughout that they kept it from being boring. It's a really relatively fast-paced movie, which unfortunately there are some moments where things feel forced. There is some exposition and some of the music here and there where it feels like, oh, this escalated quickly, we just go right into it. But other than that, it's still very much enjoyable. And there's never a single part in there where I wish I was doing something else. I was fully able to engulf myself in the movie and fully enjoy the experience. I still love the music, and there's so much great music. A lot of talented artists. They have different ones for the soundtrack than they do for the movie itself. Because on the soundtrack you have a lot more Steve Perry, and you got Celine Dion, and there's a lot of people on there. And different people for different things, but whatever. It's either way, great music, usually pretty well placed, and so I think all in all, it has all the elements that make for a great story. It's got a decent storyline. It's got, but it's got good comedy, decent story, good music. All the elements that make for a good. It's an animated musical. That's what it is. So basically, a Disney movie, except made by Warner Brothers. So I mean, I enjoy it greatly. It's not talked about that much. Like I said, I don't hear many people talk about it or reference it. I don't accidentally stumble across it when I'm online. When people talk about their favorite animated movies, like automatically Disney, you go Disney with Mulan, Hercules, Lion King. I rarely hear people talk about this one, but it's a really great story, and it's very well put together movie. Very talented actors, very well drawn, and it doesn't invoke the same strong emotions that it did in me as a child. But then again, like I had a much more like open, loving, caring heart as a kid, and right now I'm very much jaded, and I'm sitting here looking for things to hate about it, which I couldn't find, other than, like I said, it felt so forced at times. But other than that, I mean, it was still great. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I watched it. I'm glad I took the time to watch it. If you haven't seen it before, or if you haven't seen it in a few years, you should take the time to watch it. I think it's definitely very family friendly. It's a kids movie, obviously, and it's, like I said, it's got comedy, but it's not necessarily hilarious. It's got a good story. It won't necessarily keep you on the edge of the seat. I mean, it's a middle of the road type of movie. It's very much passable, and the main reason I enjoy it is more for nostalgia's sake than the actual movie just being that amazing. But still, I still enjoy it. It's a great movie, and obviously I've got the DVD, and I'm keeping the DVD. I plan to watch it again at some point in time. I would show you the case, but I have no idea what happened to it. Like a lot of DVDs that I have don't have the original case because things break at times. Stuff happens throughout the years. But yeah, overall still an amazing movie. And stay tuned for tomorrow when I review another one whose name I will not reveal because I don't want you spoiling my fun by watching it before me and having your own opinion. See you tomorrow.